You now take a look here. It's an unfamiliar sight this week to see JCPS students back in the classroom, but they headed back this morning to learn in person today. Due to the snowy forecast headed our way tonight, the district says that all of their after-school activities have to be done by 6 o'clock, and we have not yet heard on whether or not instruction will be in person or online for tomorrow. Once we do, we of course will let you know. Meanwhile, only a short 50 miles away, Harden County students are still having snow days.
Well, why did they cancel school today? Take a look right here behind us, folks, because most of the bus routes have been looking like this. That's right, just a few miles south of Louisville, slick and icy spots and snow still on the ground. WHAS11's Alexis Jones and photojournalist Jessica Farley are talking with the Harden County School District about the decision to push the students' return.
While much of Harden County is clear, many roads show evidence of Monday's storm.
They're just covered with snow and ice and, look pretty treacherous.
Brad Quisenberry and other parents still brave the drive into work Thursday, but they agree the streets in areas like Upton are in no condition for children.
I'd be afraid to get a school bus out on it with kids,
A patch of black ice and that'll screw you up. You'll end up in a ditch real quick if you're not careful.
One road in particular is right here on Terry Street. As you can see, it's completely covered in snow, and until the temperature rises, officials say it'll be here to stay. Road Supervisor Dwight Morgan says they plowed the roads and treated them with salt. However, melting takes time in rural parts of the county because the trees block direct sunlight. This is why spokesperson John Wright says Harden County schools cancel classes. He says nothing is worth putting lives at risk.
We've rather been ridiculed 1,000 times and lose one child and get in one bus wreck.
Wright adds the district has enough makeup days and bank time to cover this week. Administrators hope classes can resume Monday, but if the weather doesn't permit, Wright says safety will remain the top priority.
We're always going to put safety first, always.
In Harden County, Alexis Jones, WHAS 11 on your side.
If the roads are still bad next week, the Harden County School District says they would move to using NTI, the non-traditional instruction days. Don't forget to stay aware and stay in touch with WHAS 11 News and the road conditions with the free WHAS 11 app. You'll get push alerts right to your cell phone, and you can watch WHAS 11 newscasts live. Download it at any app store.
Now, a developing situation down in Bardstown. Residents are being asked to conserve water as the city deals with an emergency water shortage. The message went out to citizens around 7 last night. Bardstown City Administrator Aaron Bowles told us the current emergency stems from an incident Wednesday morning where a pipe burst due to the bitterly cold temperatures. While the plant is now back up and running, crews are playing a game of catch-up, treating water as fast as they can, but still down to only 2 water pumps. Here's what the city administrator suggests you can do to help.
Short showers, don't leave the water on while you're brushing your teeth, don't unnecessarily run water in your house.
As a contractor was supposed to come out and inspect the 2 pumps out of commission this morning, but for now he's asking all users to be conservative with their faucets. He says distilleries and car washes are conserving as well. More news right here at 5 o'clock. The Louisville Food Network star accused of choking his wife was back in court today over Zoom.
New testimony in this case is suggesting that celebrity super chef Darnell Ferguson had his 3 children with him at the time. The time of the violent incident, reported back on January 2nd, Ferguson was arrested last week. Our senior reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez covered the probable cause hearing in Louisville courtroom today. And Isaiah, we know that this hearing lasted an hour. So who testified during the appearance today?
Well, Doug Shea, it was St. Matthews detective Mark Richardson, actually the only witness called to the stand today to share the evidence he's gathered in this case. Now, we want to warn you, some of it is deeply disturbing. While our cameras couldn't get a view of Darnell Ferguson himself, he did appear virtually for the hearing. He's charged with 2 felonies, burglary and strangulation, for a violent exchange at the home of the woman determined to be his estranged wife and mother of their 3 children.
He put both of his hands around her throat and started to strangle her. As he did that, according to Ms. Ferguson, he said, "I'm going to kill you." The next thing she remembers, she was on the floor.
Detective Richardson there, he says based on conversations with Ferguson's wife, the couple is separated and going through a divorce. According to Richardson, on the morning of January 2nd, Ferguson allegedly drove to his wife's home with their 3 children in the car and entered without permission to find his wife and another man in bed together. Now, this testimony and evidence will be presented to a grand jury on February 19th. Ferguson has pleaded not guilty. He's out on bond and ordered not to have contact with the victim. Shay.
All right, Isaiah, thanks for that update. Well, only hours after hearing arguments, the Indiana Supreme Court ruled to reinstate Richard Allen's original attorneys. Allen is the man accused of killing 2 girls in Delphi, Indiana. One of his attorneys was accused of letting a man into the law office to take pictures of the evidence. The evidence was then leaked to a podcaster. After that, the judge dismissed the attorneys, saying they were insubordinate. Well, today, Supreme Court justices there in Indiana questioned if that was the same thing as being incapable of representing him.
The order seems couched in that language that we're trying to protect the defendant from his own lawyers, but it's hard to look at this record and not get the impression that perhaps rightfully so the judge was exasperated with their conduct. But these are two different things, aren't they? Insubordination and ineffectiveness.
The trial judge was ready to have a hearing with Allen's attorneys, but they chose to withdraw before the court date. Right now, Allen's original attorneys will represent him in trial. That's scheduled for October.
Also tonight, a man is under arrest after a short standoff with the Metro Police SWAT team at Hartwell Court. That's in Louisville's South End. LMPD tells us that officers were responding to a domestic violence call on Kingston Avenue when they got to the scene and learned a man had taken off with a child to Hartwell Court. It was believed he was armed with a rifle. Metro Police called in their SWAT team, and after a short standoff, the man surrendered. Police say nobody was hurt. The child was returned to his parent back on Kingston Avenue. The domestic violence unit will be handling this investigation.
The U.S. Department of Justice has just released the results of a more than year-long investigation into the police failures during the attack on a Uvalde elementary school, one of the worst school shootings in U.S. history.
The scathing report found failures at all levels of police leadership in Uvalde. It comes after a series of probes into what went wrong that day, including an ongoing criminal investigation. In the nearly 600-page report, the U.S. Department of Justice finds officers failed to realize they were in an active shooter situation and did not swiftly confront the gunman. 19 children and 2 teachers were killed in the school shooting in May of 2022. The U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland calling the shooting response a failure, saying law enforcement leaders wasted valuable time treating the Uvalde gunman as a subject barricaded in a classroom rather than as an active shooter.
And I told the families gathered last night what I hope is clear among the hundreds of pages and thousands of details in this report. Their loved ones deserve better.
It took them 78 minutes before they went into the classroom. There's also an ongoing criminal investigation led by the Uvalde County District Attorney into the police department's failures during the school shooting. That investigation is expected to continue into this year.
Happening right now, the Louisville Metro Council Court is meeting for the first time this year. They're considering whether to remove Councilman Anthony Piagentini from his council seat. Last year, the Metro Ethics Commission found Piagentini guilty of 6 ethics violations, saying he used his public office to leverage a new job. The charging committee then recommended the councilman be removed from his position. The council court is meeting right now. We're giving you a live look at that meeting. They will be setting a timeline of meeting dates.